Do you want to know if someone died in your house? Keep watching. Death is something that has always been a part of the human experience. We have the cliche phrase that nothing is certain but death and taxes. Went to Davy Jones' locker, bought the big one. Although a natural part of our existence, The Atlantic reports that in the last century, people's attitudes around death have shifted, making it more of a taboo subject. Before the middle of the 20th century, most individuals passed away in their own homes. Since World War I, the medical industry has increasingly assumed this role, making the prospect of death at home unsettling. So how do you determine if a death has occurred at the house you want to buy? What's up, everybody? I'm Sean McMurray, co-host of BPM REIA Online, and this is Mr. $250 million in real estate transactions, my mentor, my good friend, president and owner of BPM REIA, Anish Dave.
Hey, this is Anish Dave, CEO of BPM REIA, and let's make real estate investing made simple again, guys.
Anish, in our last video, you mentioned how you found a deceased person in one of the investment properties you were working. I bet that was a pretty unraveling situation.
Yeah, Sean, it was it was an understatement. Actually, it was a hoarder house, and there was so much stuff in there. When they actually went into the house, unfortunately, the person actually passed away about, I think, 3 or 4 days. So it was a little bit scary to actually be like, oh my gosh, someone's actually in here.
Yeah, that's scary. I mean, and RIP. So other than actually finding a body in your property, realtors say a home's value remains unchanged after natural death. But if they say that for unnatural deaths, hold up. I have a call from Randall Bell, and he says,
"Oh, bullcrap, this is ridiculous."
Randall Bell is an expert in real estate damage economics and valuation with Landmark Research Group LLC, and he says that non-natural deaths such as homicide or suicide in the house can decrease the property's value by 10 to 25%. Are realtors required to inform buyers of unnatural deaths in a home? New York and California have the toughest laws on the books as it relates to the impact of homicide on a home's value. In California, for example, any death on a property, peaceful or otherwise, needs to be disclosed if it occurred within the last 3 years. However, in Alberta, Canada, it's a little more of the Wild West. They are not required to disclose the death of a previous owner to a potential purchaser unless they are questioned by the buyer. Since we went international, in Japan, a property in which the former occupant died of unnatural causes is called jikobuken and can be rented or purchased at very low prices. The real estate license holder has a legal obligation to inform the tenant or buyer of any known unnatural deaths that occurred in the property. So, do realtors have to inform buyers of unnatural deaths in a home? Yes and no. Depends on the state or country. What do you think, Anish? Should realtors be required to inform potential buyers of unnatural deaths in a home?
Yeah, Sean, you know what? In South Florida or in Florida, some realtors I do know will disclose if there are any deaths in there. But we are kind of like the Wild West out here. It's usually not on a seller disclosure sheet. So I think it's just, it's really, I agree with you, up and down. You never know what's going to happen down here.
Just ask, get the tea. If you want to know if your home has a history of deaths, the best place to start is the person who sold it to you. However, getting in touch with the former owner isn't always an option, and even if it were, they might be reluctant to share information that could lower the property's value. If that fails, find the nosy neighbor. You know, the one that has all the tea and they're just itching to tell you how the neighbor on the corner house is sleeping with the neighbor across the street and how Bill and Tracy exercise in the nude on Mondays and Wednesdays. Find that neighbor. Every neighborhood has at least one. They'll have all the tea. You think that's a good place to start, Anish?
Absolutely, Sean. I would definitely hit the neighbors just in general to A, find the scoop about the house, but they might actually have other people in the neighborhood that might have other issues. They may have moved away or pending divorce. So you might actually be able to pick up some more deals besides that one house.
Diedinhouse.com. The easiest way, although not 100% accurate, is diedinhouse.com. The site uses data from more than 100 million police records, news reports, and death certificates to determine if someone died at an address you search. My house was built in the 40s, and I thought about putting my address in, but I'm cheaper than the guy who gave me a 50-cent tip when I was a kid after bagging his groceries and taking them to his red Mercedes-Benz at the local commissary. Yeah, I still remember that asshole. Anyways, I'm not that cheap, but do I want to spend $11.99 to figure out if someone died in my house? Who am I kidding? I don't want to know for free. It's a little creepy. Would you want to know, Anish?
Absolutely not, Sean. The less I know about that part of the house or if someone passed away, the better for me. I'm just more worried about structural issues, electrical, plumbing, that kind of stuff. That's really going to make a big difference whether I rehab the house or I keep it as an investment.
Local authorities. Speaking to your local authorities is probably the surest way of finding out if someone has died in your home. Your local authorities likely keep records of vital events like births, deaths, marriages, divorces, wills, etc. So that's where you should start if you want to take the determined and old school path. The unfortunate thing, this is not something you could do online. You literally have to walk into your county's vital records office and look to see if the address in question is on any of the death certificates. Although this may only answer if previous owners died in the property. Anish, do you know of any other ways to find out if someone has died in their home?
No, Sean, pretty much you touched on everything. The neighbors will definitely know what's happening. But again, I'm not really too worried about it. When it comes to, I hate to say it, people die all the time. So it's not going to make that much of a difference for me when I'm looking at properties. And to try to get a discount from the seller or the previous seller about a death, there's too many investors out there that will actually don't care and they'll just go ahead and buy the house and you'll lose out on the deal.
If you want to know if someone has died in your house, ask the realtor, find the nosy neighbors, search online on sites such as diedinhouse.com, and lastly, check with your local authorities. Of course, that's only if you want to know. Sometimes it's better not knowing. Anish, final words.
Yeah, Sean. So for me, death happens obviously throughout a lifetime. People are dying all the time. So for me, it's not going to make that much of a difference when I'm evaluating properties. I want to know the structure, right? How much rehab work? What does it rent for? Is it a good short-term rental? Sometimes it's almost too much information. It's going to get you from not buying that house or maybe not even making an offer.
And we're out.